Hello students, I am Preeti ma'am, your science teacher, and I am going to teach you the first chapter, crop production and management. The topics that we are going to cover are irrigation, protection from pest and disease, harvesting, threshing and winnowing, storage of crop products, improving crop yield, nitrogen cycle fixation, atmospheric nitrogen fixation, biological nitrogen fixation, and foods from animals. Earlier, we had studied about how we can improve some of the agricultural practices. Continuing further, we are going to start with irrigation. Different kinds of plants need different amounts of water. For example, rice need standing water, whereas ragi, bajra, jowar, they do not need a lot of water. Too little or too much of water can destroy crops. Sudden storms, floods, hailstorms, they can also damage the crops. Waterlogging in the field leads to the decay of most plants because the roots they do not get the air. Drought and rainfall deficiency can lead to large crop damage. So irrigation is providing the required amount of water to the crops at each stage of growth is called as irrigation. As you know, rain is the natural source of water, but its timing and amount it cannot be predicted. Therefore, water is provided to plants from wells, bore wells, canals, rivers, etc. One of the irrigation methods that we use is the sprinklers. It is used to spray water on the crops, like you can see over here. The next irrigation system is the drip irrigation system. In this method, it is a method in which water is allowed to drip near the roots of plants from tubes or pipes. This method decreases the amount of water wasted and is used in areas that face the scarcity of water, where there is less water. In those areas, we can use the drip irrigation system. Next is the furrow irrigation system. Furrow irrigation system is a kind of irrigation in which field is made into ridges or raised hips or furrows or cuts in the soil. Plants, they are grown in the ridges. You can see over here, plants are grown in the ridges. And water is allowed to flow in the furrows. You can see over here, water. Next is the basin irrigation system. Basin irrigation system is a type of irrigation system which is used to water the crops that need large amount of water, such as paddy. Bunds or ridges of soil are raised along the borders of the field so that it can hold the water. These were some of the irrigation system that we recently used. But there are many different traditional methods of irrigation. which is used in India to irrigate the crops, like the chain pump. In this method, a long chain is connected to two wheels. The bottom wheel is immersed in water. When the top wheel is turned, the bucket attached to the chain, they carry water to the top. This water is used to irrigate the fields. The second is the pulley, and in this method, pulley is used to draw water out of the wells to water the crops. Next is the Rahat irrigation system. In this method, it uses animals to draw water from the wells. The animals are made to walk around the wheel, which turns and draws the water. Dekli is another type of irrigation system. And in this method, a long pole is weighed down with a heavy stone. This acts as a lever. A bucket is attached to the longer lever arm. When this arm is pulled down, the bucket gets filled with water. And when the arm is let go again, the bucket with water is raised on top. So these were some of the traditional methods of irrigation system. Protection from the pest. Organisms, they harm and or harm the crops or destroy the crops. They are called as the pest. They may be plants or animals. Microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, virus may also infect the plants and spread diseases through air, soil, and contaminated seeds. Weed is an undesirable plant that grows in the field. They compete with plants for water, sunlight, nutrients, space. Thereby, they limit the growth of the crops. They spread very fast and release chemicals that prevent or reduce the growth of the crop. The removal of plants or these unwanted plants or weeds is called as weeding. It can be done using the hand or by using the chemicals. Chemicals that are sprayed in the field to kill weeds, they are called as weedicides or herbicides. Fungi, it is killed by spraying fungicides. Crops are eaten or damaged by large animals like cow, goat, and birds. Small animals also they harm the crop, such as mice and the rats. And insects too, like locusts, termites, etc. This can result in the destruction of crops under the cultivation. Birds are kept away from the field using the scarecrows and reflecting light strips and etc. and so on. Rodents, they are killed using rodenticides. And insects are killed by spraying insecticides on the crops. These different chemicals, such as we use the weedicides, fungicides, rodenticides, insecticides, they are together called as the pesticides. All pesticides are poisonous and should be used carefully. Farmers who use these chemicals should not inhale the fumes as they are quite poisonous. Pesticides can contaminate the soil and water bodies. They can also contaminate food and enter the food chain. Natural predators of pests are used to control pests and diseases. And this is called as biological control. The advantage of this method is that it does not pollute the soil, water, or any crop product. Harvesting, threshing, and winnowing, the process by which crop products are gathered from the matured crops, is called as harvesting. This can be done by hand with a sickle or by using a machine, a harvester machine. Grains are removed from the stalks of crop of harvested plants by threshing. By threshing. This can be done by striking the harvested crop against a hard surface manually or by letting the animals walk over it. Or threshing machines can also be used. Winnowing is another process. It is used to separate the grains from the chaff. Light husk or seed coverings and other plants debris that is separated from the grains, it is called as the chaff. The mixture of grains and chaff is dropped to the ground from a great height. The heavier grains or seeds, they drop straight down, whereas those which are light in weight, they are blown away, far away by the wind, and it falls at a quite a large distance. Some farmers use the combiner harvester that not only harvests the grains but has another machinery that even threshes and cleans the grains. Special harvesting machines are available for specific crops like cotton, corn, potato, and many other such crops. Now, after these crops are harvested, how can these grains be stored? So, these food grains are dried in sunlight first before they are stored. This is done to prevent the growth of molds. Grains are stored in containers made of clay or in the bags made up of jute. Dried neem leaves are placed with the grains to protect them from insects and the worms. Large amount of grains, they are stored in godowns called the granaries. Granaries, I'll show you over here. This is called as the granary. Okay. Uh, Granaries. These places are also regularly inspected to protect the grains and ensure that the uh, storage is safe. Cold storage means storing at a low temperature. It is used to store fruits and vegetables. This prevents the spoilage and nutrient loss. We can also store meat, fish, dairy products, eggs, many other things in the cold storage. Improving crop yield. Improved crop management will help us increase the amount of food produced. Some of the techniques involve increasing soil fertility, providing better irrigation facilities, and protecting the crops from pests and diseases. Many new varieties of crops with desired properties have been developed. Some of these plants have better resistance to diseases and pests, and some plants mature faster. I can give you one example. There are mango trees that produce fruits in a few years after they are planted. Other plants survive with less water and have higher yield also. Selective breeding of crops is done to increase the crop yield. And hybridization, or another name is artificial cropping, is also done to combine the characters of two or more varieties of plants. One such example I can give you. One variety of cotton plant may have high yielding varieties or one high yielding power, while another variety of same crop may be resistant to disease. So by crossing the two varieties with desirable traits, a new plant variety that is both high yielding and resistant to disease can be produced. So the farmers have practiced selective breeding for thousands of years. Nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen is one of the most important nutrient which is needed by the plants. It is the constituents of protein and DNA. DNA, it is a long molecule found in the nucleus of the cell that carries most of the information, or we can say that all the information that a cell needs to function. Though the Earth's atmosphere contains 78% nitrogen, 78% nitrogen, but plants cannot use it as it is. It has to be converted into a specific form or other form which the plants can use it. So the process by which the nitrogen in atmosphere is converted to forms that plants can use is called as nitrogen fixation. And the cycle of nitrogen between the atmosphere, soil, plants and animals is called nitrogen cycle. Atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen combines with oxygen during lightning or lightning strikes to form nitrogen oxides. These compounds they dissolve in rain to form acids. The acid react with some of the compounds in the soil to form soluble nitrates that can be absorbed by the plants. Biological nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation carried by microorganisms in the soil and accounts for about 90% nitrogen natural fixation. The bacteria that fixes nitrogen are called nitrogen fixing bacteria. I'll show you the nitrogen fixing bacteria which are present in the root nodules. Rhizobium is a nitrogen fixing bacterium which is present or which forms the nodules of the roots of legumes, means of beans or peas. It converts nitrogen into nitrates that can be absorbed by the plants. The rhizobium gets water and nutrition from the plants. This kind of relationship between two organisms, that is both advantageous to both the plants, rhizobium bacteria and the roots of peas and beans. It is called a symbiosis. Nitrogen passes to animals when they eat plants and other animals that have eaten plants. When these plants and animals die, decomposers break down the proteins and release the nitrates back to the soil. These nitrates can be absorbed by other plants or can be acted upon by some bacteria that release nitrogen back to the atmosphere. Foods from animals. We use the help of many animals in many ways, like bullocks, horses, donkeys, and so on, help us to move things from one place to another. We get milk, meat from goat, sheep, cattle. We also get many useful products like wool, silk, leather, honey from animals. So, a branch of agriculture that deals with rearing animals and caring for them is known as animal husbandry. The kind of food that we get from animals are like this. We get milk from milch animals. We make dairy products like curd, butter, cheese. From special kind of cow, we get the milk from the milch animals, or the buffaloes which yield large amounts of milk. We get eggs from poultry like hen, duck, and turkey. And you know that eggs are quite rich source of protein and fats. We get meat from poultry. Poultry means hen, duck, and turkey. And from goat and sheep too. We rear fish for food. The meat of fish is rich in minerals, fish oils, and they are also the important source of vitamin D. The rearing of fish, it is called as pisciculture. We collect honey and wax from honeycombs built by bees. Honey is rich in sugar and contains useful enzymes. It is also antiseptic, and the rearing of bees to get honey is called as apiculture. So all these animals can be raised in clean surroundings so that we can get from them a clean and safe environment and everything which is safe to eat. So we come to the end of the chapter. Bye for now.